At a time when Congress has seldom if ever been more partisanly divided and the issues have never been more important, health care, wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, Iran becoming a nuclear power, a withering economy at home, and record government spending, the list goes on and on. There are 5 United States senators who didn't receive a single vote to get into office. They are Roland Burris, Democrat of Illinois. He was appointed to fill Barack Obama's seat when Obama was elected president. Ted Kaufman, Democrat. He was appointed by the governor of Delaware to fill Joe Biden's seat when Biden was elected vice president. Michael Bennet, Democrat. He was appointed by the governor of Colorado to fill Ken Salazar's seat when Salazar was confirmed as Secretary of the Interior. Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat. She was appointed by the governor of New York to fill the seat vacated by Hillary Clinton when Clinton took over as Secretary of State. And now George LeMieux of Florida is the latest. He's a Republican and a lawyer from Tallahassee who was appointed by Governor Charlie Crist to fill the seat vacated by the resigned Mel Martinez. He's never held public office, but LeMieux knows politics and the governor. He ran Crist's 2006 campaign and was his chief of staff until December 2007. Governor Crist has announced he's running in 2010 for the seat he just appointed LeMieux to fill. After working for the governor, LeMieux ran a Florida law firm and authored a weekly multimedia newsletter called The LeMieux Report, where he discussed hot topics in the Sunshine State. Watch this excerpt on YouTube from late August.
Topic 1, who will the governor choose? Who will Governor Crist appoint to the United States Senate? It's the question everyone's asking. So while we sit back and wait for the announcement, some sitting more anxiously than others, including me, bottom line, the opportunity to receive an appointment to the United States Senate is the opportunity of a lifetime.
It was just a few days later when he found out who that person would be.
And I got a call from the governor's chief of staff saying the governor wants to see you in Tallahassee. You need to come back. So I said, why does the governor want to see me? I was trying to probe. And they said, just need to come back. So I flew back. I did not tell my wife I was flying back because I did not want to worry her while I was on the trip. And I got to the governor's mansion. The governor looked at me and said, I want you to serve the people, which was a tremendously humbling and moving moment for me, thinking of what this job means and what good works you can do here. But then he called my wife. Actually, I got her on the phone. I said, look, there's someone here who wants to speak with you. And the governor got on and said, your husband's going to be a United States Senator. So after that, I came home, and she greeted me at the door, and we both cried.
40-year-old George LeMieux had just signed on to represent in the Senate the 18 million residents of Florida, and he would become the 111th Congress's youngest senator. Within days, it was off to Washington with his wife and 3 young sons in tow.
What do you think, man?
One of their first stops, his new office in the Russell Senate Office building.
What are your first impressions, sir?
Well, it's just incredibly humbling to have this great honor, and I'm looking forward to the work ahead.
If the senator designee will now present himself at the desk.
Then to the Senate chamber in the Capitol, under the Great Dome, where he's sworn in by the Vice President.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic?
And then it was off for his first meeting with the press.
I don't have a firm position yet because I just got sworn in. So we're going to wait and listen and learn. Okay? Thank you very much.
I caught up with him the next day, dashing meeting to meeting, just as he learned he was about to get a call from the White House.
Do we have a phone for the call?
When did you learn the president might call you this afternoon?
Just about 30 minutes ago, the White House called to schedule a time. So.
What do you think? He wants to talk about health care?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's the President of the United States. I've never received a phone call from the President.
Well, you've been around long enough to know that if things worked a certain way, you could be one of the 1 or 2 decisive votes in the public health care.
We'll have to see.
A lot of important things to be dealt with in the United States Senate, you say. There are those who think that the next 16-month period may be one of the most important in the modern era. In your mind, what are the most important issues?
Well, it's interesting that you would say that, Dan, because Governor Voinovich, Senator Voinovich from Ohio, said the same thing to me. He said, you will be here only for a brief time, but it might be the most important time to be here because of these important issues. I think obviously health care is going to be the first issue that we tackle. I had the opportunity, although it was before I was sworn in, to attend the President's speech on Wednesday evening where he put some more specifics, I guess, on the table of what his health care proposal is. I think that's going to be issue one that we're going to tackle. I think the larger issue that we're going to have to face for any of these proposals is the situation of the national debt and the national deficit. I'm very concerned as the father of 3 small boys, Max, Taylor, and Chase, 6, 4, and 2, of what the future is going to look like for them and what we're going to be able to face in the future. Are they going to have a country that has the same opportunities that I've been able to enjoy and that my wife Mikey's been able to enjoy? I'm very concerned about an almost $12 trillion national debt and how we're going to tackle that.
You attended the President's speech in the gallery. You were not yet sworn in. Were you impressed by it?
I was. I mean, he's a very good orator, and I think he tried to lay out a vision on healthcare. There were some things about the speech that I liked. I liked his idea about an exchange, an idea that you would say to the insurance companies, here are these almost 50 million Americans who need insurance. We're going to tell you what has to be in the insurance policy for them, what kind of, catastrophic health care, preventative, whatever the components would be. Go out and give us a proposal and bid for them. We did something like that in Florida. Governor Chris did with Cover Florida, which is a very similar type process. That's a market-driven approach to health care. I think that's something that Republicans should embrace.
You ready to vote for a health care bill, knowing that there's certainly perhaps a majority in your party who doesn't want to vote for almost any bill?
Well,
or would you agree with that?
It depends on what's in the bill. And we haven't seen a specific proposal from the White House. We've heard a speech and lots of discussion about it. I hope that the White House will put forward a specific plan. If they don't, we're going to be dealing with plans from the House and the Senate. And there's a lot more than just that exchange idea. There's this, there's the public option, there's this, which is, a single payer system.
You think it needs a public option?
Well, I'm concerned about a public option, Dan. I'm concerned that we put the government in the business of being in charge of, what they say, 1/6 of the federal economy, or the economy of this country would be part of the federal government's domain. That gives me concerns, especially in light of what I just mentioned with our national debt. I think we have to be doing less in government. I think we have to provide a solution for the American people where we're going to have more access, and hopefully we can lower the cost of health care, because that's what I hear from people in Florida is how expensive health care is. I just want to make sure that the solution isn't worse than the problem.
You've been seen and cast, both publicly and otherwise, as a, quote, moderate Republican. Do you see yourself as that?
I think I'm a common sense conservative. The reason why I entered into public service, and I'm so pleased to be in this position, is I like to think of myself as a problem solver. I think we in government should be here to help try to fix problems for the people of this country. And we call me moderate or call me conservative. I'm going to work with Republicans, I'll work with Democrats, whomever wants to work with me to try to solve the problems that we can all agree upon. There's plenty we disagree on, but there's a lot we do agree on. I'd rather try to work on the stuff we agree on first.
Well, sometimes when you say liberal, conservative, moderate, it's confusing to people. They don't know what those things are. Are you a follower of Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, Lou Dobbs?
Well, I'm a follower of Ronald Reagan. I'm a follower of Charlie Crist, my governor in Florida. I believe in less government, less spending, less taxes, more freedom. I think that the private sector can usually do things better. Not always, as we've seen. I think there is a role for government, but when government does the work that it does, it needs to do so efficiently and effectively. So I think there needs to be a balance. But when we do things here in government, we should be consumer or customer focused. I mean, these people who put the elected officials in office, they're the boss, and we need to serve them. So we have to do what we do well, but we shouldn't try to do too much.
Let's go down to some other issues. Immigration is a big issue in Florida.
Yes, sir.
A lot of, how do you feel about that? You have any strong feelings about what needs to be done, if anything?
Well, I'm hopeful that some solution can be reached. I know that it was debated and it was a lot of difficulty last time, and you had a lot of important people on both sides of the aisle trying to come together to get that done, and it couldn't be done. So I know that it's going to come up again. I think we have to protect our borders as a country. It's essential to do that. But we also have to figure out about these 12 million or so Americans that are here, how we're going to be able to, integrate them, or if they're going to have to return to their countries and maybe come back on a guest pass or work visa. They're difficult issues, but we need to find some kind of permanent solution, and we're going to have to work together as statesmen in order to get there.
work as statesmen. There's a broad theory in the country that this is impossible in Washington now, that the atmosphere between Republicans and Democrats is so toxic that you can talk that way all you want. When it gets down to it, let me put it to you this way, that the more conservative, some would say right-wing members of your party, are going to put so much pressure on you as a appointed senator that there's no such thing as trying to reach a reasonable compromise. You agree with that?
It hasn't been my experience, but it's only day 2. I've had a chance to meet with several of the senators, Democrat and Republican alike, and the reception that I've received from them has been warm and embracing, no matter what side of the aisle they're on. I'm here to solve problems, and if I can disagree with someone without being disagreeable.
It's been written that you're a seat warmer. Not a very elegant phrase, but nonetheless, and you know what that means in politics. You've been around politics a long time. That you're here just to keep the seat warm for Governor Chris. True? Or
no, not true. This is an extraordinary opportunity for me, and I feel like I'm one of the most fortunate people in the world to have the opportunity to serve in the United States Senate for 16 months. And I'm going to try to get 6 years worth of work in a 16-month period. I don't know what my reputation will be when my time to leave the United States Senate is over, but I hope it is that I was the hardest working person here.
Well, you not only helped Governor Chris get elected, you ran his campaign for all intents and purposes. Point out one place where you differ with the governor in terms of policy.
Well, I haven't focused on the differences between the governor and I. I can tell you that in the years that I worked with the governor shoulder to shoulder, there would be times we would disagree on policy, and I would let my opinion be known to him, but that was a little different situation because I was his chief of staff or I was his deputy attorney general when he was the attorney general. And in that position, you give your advice and then the principal makes the decision. I'm sure we will have differences of opinion as things come up on different issues, and that's fine. I mean, Ronald Reagan used to say, if you agree with me 90% of the time, you must be my friend. So while we will agree on a lot of things, there'll be some things we disagree on.
Well, in the language people understand, is Governor Chris going to be calling the shots for you as a U.S. Senator during these 16 months?
I'm my own man. The people are going to call the shots, and my conscience and what I think is right are going to call the shots. So I certainly have a great relationship with the governor, as I do with other elected officials in Florida, and I'm going to be talking with them to seek their advice and counsel on these issues, as you would expect that I should. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I think is right and listen to the people of Florida. So, I'm here and I'm in the Senate, and I get to do a lot of important things. And when I go home, I'm there with those 3 boys, and that's really front and center for me, is to think about them and how this wonderful experience of a year and 4 months, what it's going to mean for them. And really, when I'm making these decisions, I'm going to be thinking about those 3 boys and all the rest of the kids in this country, and hopefully we're going to make a better place for them.
Senator, thank you for your time.
Dan, always a pleasure.
Talk again.
Yes, sir.
Have you gotten used to people calling you Senator? You're a United States Senator.
Not yet.
The newest and youngest, Senator George LeMieux. We should note that Senator LeMieux was a guest on our election night coverage in both the Florida primary and the general election. Safe to say, much has changed for the senator since then. We wish him well.